Okay, so we have different data types, right? And right here is our shapefile. We typically bring multiple shapefiles in to a map document. Today we're going to talk about a different type of data called a geodatabase, and that is .gdb. That's a geodatabase. These are shapefiles. Okay. So the whole point is, basically, with these multiple shapefiles in the geodatabase, right? They could be all sorts of things, right? Bike racks is this one, and this one is cars, or maybe what were some of the things we did? Oh, the blue lights, locations, and buildings. And then this geodatabase could have a whole bunch of things in here, but let's just say it's got parking lots for now. And we'll go over these today. Let's make these different color. Okay, great. So the way an MXD works is you can have a whole bunch of MXDs, but basically, let's see. All right. So then we have MXD. This is a map document. What a map document does is it sits up here on top of a whole bunch of data, and this could be, all of the data that exists in the world. Like, you could imagine we could have on our computer at some point. And then these map documents look at the data, and it pulls it in to the to your map, right? And you can see that because you have the different things in your layers, right? So when you pull in a bunch of different layers here, that could be a shapefile, it could be a geodatabase, it could be other data types, right? Like, for example, this thing we're pulling in from the internet, right? But right now we're kind of focusing on this GIS kind of vector data, it's called, but you don't have to know that yet. So this MXD is pulling from all sorts of specific shapefiles. And the point I wanted to make was, if you just, and this is all within like my computer, right, or one of our computers. So we have, let's say, this is my computer. So if you take this MXD and you move it over to somebody else's computer, it's like meaningless, right? Because it's got all these paths to the data, but it doesn't know where to look because it doesn't know, like, it knows very specifically on your computer like where these things are. So what that kind of looks like in the MXD is, if you go into, for example, this blue lights, you can go to the properties and look at the source. And this basically represents that arrow that I drew. In this case, it's going to a .gdb, so it's a geodatabase, which is just a different type of shapefile, basically. Geodatabases can have a lot of different things in them. I'll show you that in a second. In this one, this specific feature data set, it's called, which would be just like the shapefile, is called, sorry, it's in a feature data set, so that's another folder within the geodatabase. And then the actual feature class that it is, which is equivalent to a shapefile, is called blue lights. So if I go into the one that Caitlin sent me, or that Matt sent me, and we take a look, at his layers with the red check, it's going to tell me a file location on Matt's computer, which of course fulcrum export that thing / camera sites for long term, that doesn't exist on my computer because it's just not the same, right? So the MXD will use those paths to go and find things. And basically what the paths mean, right, and this could be like a new concept for some people, is a path on a computer is guess I don't know how in depth to go here. So if you look at, for example, the desktop on your computer, right? That is at, it's not a good example, I gotta drill down. So for example, okay, so at work, this is a good example. We have this file structure, right? And it allows us to store files, right? Just like in a file folder. That's why they have all the files, like in a filing cabinet, right? So everything like usually starts from a high level. And in this case, we look at my one from work. It's the shared folder, or yeah, show shared. This is everything that everybody at work shares, right? So this starts with all the teams at work, right? So the GIS team, the Fiber team, and then if you go into these things, and we'll do telecommunications, then we can go into engineering after that, and then we can go into, it's just a way to sort things. But what you'll notice if we go into engineering and then 3GIS, which is kind of one of the softwares we use, you can see that it built this path, right? So the first one is Z, which means it's like this highest level drive of like this shared thing we use. And then it's the different folders we went down. So it's shared / telecom / engineering / GIS. And you can go use that. You can tell any computer that, and it will know, oh, okay, that's where I go to look for the files, right? So that's what this means. So this whole, anything in between the slashes, which is like, in this case on Matt's computer, the E drive, I think, is your thumb drive, because the C drive is usually the hard drive that's built into the machine. And then if you have any other ones, it's usually like E or whatever, another letter. It just picks one that hasn't been used yet, basically. So this whole highlighted thing is a folder on Matt's computer. And then this whole highlighted thing is a file because it's at the end. Or I think it's actually another folder. And then this, see feature class again? This is the name of the shapefile on Matt's computer. So if I was to have Matt send me that shapefile and put it on my computer and do set data source and tell it where to look, it'd be fine. Then it would know where to look. It's just that this thing is a shell, so it doesn't really know where it looks at the data. To me, it's kind of a big thing. Does everybody understand that? Any questions about that? All right, cool.